I didn't believe I could do it.
Yeah, we're live. You're good. I got both of you.
My competitors were too fast. I lacked motivation, and then I found the whole t-shirt. I transformed myself and believed that I could conquer the competition. Now everybody takes me serious because I demand them to. If I can do it, you can do it. Under Armour Alter Ego. Transform yourself.
The Mix Radio Network. The Mix Radio Network is just that. A mix of the best music from today and yesterday. It's like one-stop shopping for your ears. The Mix Radio Network can be heard on over 1,000 different devices and all over the world. So you can listen whenever you want and wherever you are. The Mix Radio Network. The Mix Radio Network. Yes.
Coffee in that Keurig at all? You want one? You want some water?
If I can make a living from walking in the woods, you can bet I'd be sitting pretty good, high on a hill, looking at a field downwind. If I can make a nickel off of turning in bands, never worry about the price of gas.
Yeah, there you are. It is a little Luke Bryant, and you know what that means. That means it's The Grind on the Mix Radio Network. And Seth, you are in studio, and you have some guests in studio tonight. Hey, just so everybody wants to know, everybody watching us on Facebook or Instagram, here's what you're going to do. If you want to, because obviously we're away from those, so we can't watch the questions, but you can text them in, 877-755-0444. That number again is 877-755-0444. All right, so holy cow, we got back in studio, and I think everybody's just waiting to get hunting. And you know why? Because it means it's towards the end of the year and we get rid of this effing year. This 2020 has sucked ass.
2020 can suck a big fatty, in my
Pretty
opinion.
much.
Yeah, but we had a really good kind of fall weather week last week, which kind of got me, pardon my French, kind of got me horny for the fall. So I've been communicating with the Boss Shot Shell group for about a month and a half, 2 months, trying to get together with them, and we finally connected yesterday. And when I say connected, we sent it. We got connected in a really good way. We got out to the farm, and we taste tested some of their rounds, which, if any of the listeners want to get into the mathematics of it all, please hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. I know I put out some photos just kind of describing the distance, the round, the load, and also the pellet placement. But I really want people that are interested to hit us up either directly to Boss, or they can hit us up. And if I can't answer it, I'm going to push it over to my friends at Boss Shot Shell. But what I can tell you, and I want to open it up with this, before we get into all the beauty that is Boss Shot Shells, if you aren't running a load like Boss Shot Shell has in your weapon system, you're wrong. You're not a conservationist. You are not a sportsman. You are crippling animals. And I'm not trying to come off as an elitist. I never have on this show. But what I witnessed yesterday is the truth. So I grew up hunting ducks and just grabbing like a box of Federal. Yeah, it runs 1,200 feet per second. Great. And I would hunt diver ducks on the Bowstring River between Sand Lake and Bowstring. And, these whistlers and bluebills and ringbills would come in at 40 miles an hour. And a lot of times you would cripple them. And a lot of it was due to steel rounds. And they weren't patterning as well. So then we would have to pick the boat up and run around and try and water slap these ducks for a half an hour just to, because there's a wanton waste law in Minnesota. So we would spend 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, sometimes half a box of shells trying to eliminate the animal so we could get it and bring it back, and then set back up and get your blind back set, and you're literally 45 minutes in on a set, and you're like, okay, you just literally missed almost an hour of the best prime time shooting time, and now you're half a box of shells down. So what I witnessed yesterday out in Bayport, Minnesota was not only an eye-opener, but a game changer for anybody that wants to turkey hunt, goose hunt, duck hunt, pheasant hunt. I don't care if you're going after giants, snows, speckles, lessers, cacklers, grouse, pheasants, ringbills, divers, puddlers. What you need to do is grab yourself a couple of boxes of the 2 3/4 number 5 whoop asses from Boss Shot Shell, run them down your barrel at 30 yards, then grab what you normally would have been doing, which I had been doing for years, run those shells, and I will guarantee you, and I will even send you a hat and a sticker if you tell me that those shells run better than Boss. And I'm not trying to promote them because they're better. I'm trying to promote them because not only are they better, it will make you a better hunter. So we are a conservation crew. We love to spend money on CRP. We love to promote waterfowl associations, Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever. And the best way to get your recurring benefit is to not cripple animals. And I think Lee and I were having a conversation yesterday about all the crippled animals that go through inferior product. And what we've talked about on this show before is I've been on Mille Lacs and I've caught 110 walleyes, and I'm like, well, what the fuck? I'm literally killing these walleyes. So you're basically doing that if you're running an inferior shot shell through your weapon system. I don't know, Lee, I'm going to give you a little bit of opportunity to talk about how you got here and why you got here. But, you know, we were talking yesterday about the crippling factor. And if you want to just kind of give everybody like a general snapshot of your company, and then we can start getting into some specific questions.
Do you want to talk about how Boss got started, or do you want to jump right into crippling?
I'd like to talk about crippling right away because I'm hot about it.
Well, I mean, you should be. You only and most people will be once they hear the numbers. The deal is you never hear the numbers.
Yeah.
And it's just like almost everything else in politics. You only hear what they want you to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking to Ducks Unlimited, talking to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, doing major research on my own, it sounds like there's somewhere between 3.4 and 3.7 million a year lost to crippling.
So even if we would say that half those numbers were females, we're looking at a brood that would normally have 6 to 10 ducklings. So you can multiply half that number by 10, right?
Well,
Or more.
Well, I mean, with ducks you have a drake to hen surplus, higher in canvasbacks like 5 to 1. Mallards might be closer to 1 to 1. But the point is, let's say it is 3.4 and 3.7.
Yep, keep going.
There's some people that say it's higher. It's as high as crippling is as high as 40% of the take.
Sure.
Okay, well, that seems high, but let's say it's 3.4 to 3.7. Okay. Our narrative at Boss is take care of your gun, pay attention to your bore diameter, pay attention to choke and the shell you're shooting and the relationship that those three play with each other.
So let me ask you this, and I'm sorry to interrupt. Have you developed a shell that will allow hunters that don't pay attention to their weapon system, hunters that don't pay attention to their choke, will your shot shell overcome some of those inefficiencies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
But you're also promoting being
yes.
the other sides of it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's things you can do. you mentioned earlier things you can do to become a better hunter. I prefer to say you become more proficient at killing, and because that's what we're doing,
Yeah.
and we owe it to them to have clean kills or clean misses.
Remember what you told me yesterday when you were sitting in your guys' shed? Most people, like deer hunters, bear hunters, elk hunters, sheep hunters, particularly sheep and goat, they are very, very, very particular about their kill and when they can shoot and how they shoot and their weapon systems. Why do you think it's different for duck hunters?
Well, I personally think it's because your opportunities, there's a lot more.
Yeah.
Right? So there's less value placed on the life of a duck, right?
Mhm.
Not to me.
That's sad.
Not ever. Not to
Absolutely.
me. Right? Life have always been the original conservationists. I don't know where that got lost, but we got to get it back, and we got to get it back in a hurry.
Well, Teddy Roosevelt was probably the best president as far as land conservation and hunting. And hunting shouldn't be conflated with conservation in the sense that where most people think that hunters just take, where hunters give back a lot more than most people realize, right, Lee?
Have to. Yes,
Yeah.
we do. Yes, we do, and we have to. But that's another narrative we have to keep working on. I don't know if you follow the Boss Shot Shell feed at all, but I can do a conservation post or a food post on taking care of your game, and they'll tank.
Yeah.
Tank, right?
It's
I
same on ours.
I can show a bunch of dead shit,
Yeah,
and it can blow up,
right.
right?
Yep,
Well,
it's a salivation.
I'm going to keep doing it though,
Yeah.
because I'm going to keep pushing that narrative, because I mean, every one we gain
It-
is to our benefit.
Correct.
Right?
Yep, it's like turkey hunting. For every turkey you saw, there's 4 that you didn't see. So when you are a conservation hunter, an environmentalist, for every duck that you kill, if you're doing it right and you're putting your money where it matters, you're creating 4 more ducks that somebody else can shoot, hopefully cleanly. There's a big push with, we had down where I'm from, New Prague, Minnesota, we had one of our waterfowl associations that kind of went defunct, and which was really, really sad to me.
NWA.
Yep, the
Was
MWA
sad.
went defunct, and
Terrible.
my dead uncle Greg Heil was one of the original guys on that. And these guys, they hunted every day and they killed ducks. Man, they killed ducks. But guess what else they did? They built wood duck houses. They were working with the DNR. They were working with locals. And nowadays, I really truly feel like a gun-toting hunter gets a bad rap when it comes to the environment. Even though that hunters and what we do for tags, for what we do for stamps, federal stamps, state stamps, everything, all the ancillary charges that go in, plus not only what we do when we travel, the tourism money, that goes into feeding these programs to promote hunting areas, but we get such a bad rap. And what is mind-boggling to me is 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump signed, a land legislation. He approved it into law where all that money would go back in permanently, not have to get reappropriated by Congress. He put it in perpetuity. So now we have more public land. And I'm a public land hunter. I don't come from a rich family. I love public land. And when he signed that into law, I really truly feel like the sportsmen were served a dish cold by the media, because that was not covered. We have a lot more land and opportunities to hunt, and I really feel like Boss Shot Shells is of that ilk. They are promoting conservative hunting, quality hunting, and that's why you have a superior shot shell, because you want hunters to be successful but also clean, right? Is that kind of part of your mantra?
For sure. Absolutely it is.
So I saw on your guys' website some of the frequently asked questions. You have, what if I want to go turkey hunting? What if I want to go goose hunting? What if I want to do this? what shot shell do you recommend? And what I really liked about your website, and I want you to expand on it, is it all depends. And what that means is, have you patterned your weapon? Have you put appropriate choke in? So a lot of guys want to just roll into Cabela's and say, oh, I'm going goose hunting, so I'm going to grab a Federal T and 3.5 inch because I'm running a Super Black Eagle, and bigger the better. Well, I got to tell anybody who's listening right now, I ran a Federal T 3.5 inch out of a Winchester Super X2 yesterday at 40 yards, and we had 13 pellets in the kill zone. I went to a 2 3/4 inch.
I think we had 13 on the whole bird.
On the whole bird,
I wouldn't consider that kill.
Yeah, no, thank you for that.
The whole, because part of that was wings.
Wing,
and
yeah,
tail
it would have been a
and
cripple.
foot.
Yep,
Right.
it would have been a cripple. So I would say maybe 6 pellets were actually kill pellets. Then that 3.5 inch T Federal went down to a 2 3/4 Boss number 5, and we had 119 pellets in a 30 inch diameter. So I'm not a mathematician, but I want you guys to go onto our Instagram and our Facebook and take a look at that, because I posted them up. And that's where, I've always been a believer in chokes and rounds and reloading and all this other wizardry. But if you want to take the mathematics out of it, go with Boss shot shells and you'll be a cleaner killer. And I think that's what you guys are after.
Clean kills, clean misses.
Yeah. Yeah.
The miss is just as important as the kill.
Explain that.
Well, we hate cripples,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I think I told you this yesterday. Let's take that 3.4 to 3.7 million number. If we did, as a group, a collective, and that, I want people to understand that. This is not Boss talking from a pulpit here. We are you. We're just like you, okay? And if we do these things, buy better shells, take care of the gun, choke it properly, pattern, you have to pattern. It's mandatory. You have to know what you're doing, and you have to see it, because once you see it, it's going to be in your head. Then you're going to know, well, if I'm shooting a pattern that tight at 40 yards and I miss, well, it's because I missed.
Yeah.
Right?
So, would it be fair to say, why would you buy a $1,200 gun and put a $4 round in it? And I'm saying $4 is expensive, but I'm just saying,
It is.
if you go to like a Ferrari dealership and you buy a Ferrari, why would you go to the gas station and put E85 in it?
You
Right?
don't. You don't.
You don't. So, and you would have to know a little bit about what you're doing, right? So I know a lot of guys that run really good weapon systems, but they're putting inferior rounds in them, and they're crippling animals left and right.
At the end of the day, the shell's the cheapest part of the whole game.
Well, I would say one of the most.
It's not even close.
Well, but why is it? And I want to ask both of you this independently, and I want you to answer first. Why do you think hunters will spend $800 on a jacket, $400 on a set of waders? They'll do $1,200 on a gun, and they'll bitch about what? Oh, my duck stamp's $28, and oh, this box of shells $17. I'm going to do the $14 round. So they buy all the great gear. They go out there, and then they want to go to Saskatchewan, and they run up there with E85 in their Ferraris.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Right?
It doesn't make any sense because you look at the whole thing. So it's like, okay, so you got starting literally with the 15-hour drive.
Yep.
So you're gonna make the drive and you got the whole shooting match,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, but I'm gonna save 20 cents of clay.
Right.
Like, what?
Right. So, do you feel like hunters don't spend enough off-season time doing that, or is that just like a marketing thing that when they go into their big box store and they buy that, case of shells because you're getting a deal on 12 boxes of shells and you're saving $2 a box, and that's what they go with, and they're about to run on a $5,000 Saskatchewan or Delta Marsh trip or going on to Stuttgart, and it's like, I'm gonna roll down there with an inferior shell. It's mind-boggling to me.
I think I'm going to give all the duck hunters and upland hunters more credit, because I think, well, first of all, it's a demographic issue. When was banned in 91.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm 60 years old, so that takes a dude like me who shot lead that knew the difference. And when you went from lead to steel, we were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Good Lord, you gotta
Yeah.
be kidding me, right?
Yeah.
Now, a dude like Zach's age, those fellas have grown up with 3 decades of steel.
Mm-hmm.
It's really what they had,
Right.
right?
It's their
Then-
baseline.
oh, they changed the baseline. Now, I did a post here not long ago, and I factored it, the best shell ever made, pre-copper plated Boss, back in the day, in my opinion, I don't even think this is really debatable. You guys could call in and they'll support this one. Was a Winchester Double X copper plated number 5 or 6, right?
Lead.
Sure.
They were lead.
Yep.
Right? They were animals,
Yep.
right? Best shell ever made. Okay. Boss is very, very similar to that now in ballistically, how it patterns, the energy it carries. Now, because our bismuth alloy copper plated is a little less dense, instead of shooting a 6, I'd shoot a 5.
Sure.
Now you're carrying the same energy,
Yep.
right?
And I want you to talk a little bit about like the energy and the ballistic protocol that you guys go through. You guys not only drill down in gram per powder, you guys also do it through temperature. And if there's any duck hunters listening right now, you know you've had an 80-degree sunny bluebird sky duck hunting day, and you've also had 0-degree snow blowing in your face, wet, miserable day hunting. And I don't know if many people realize that your shot shell, that matters with velocity. And I want you to talk about the way that you guys test, and I also want to talk about like your crimping for velocity and pressure, because I know that pressure is a big thing for you guys
Huge.
because you're pushing the envelope.
Huge. Okay, so I wish Brandon was here right now because I'm.
Just general
I can't-
stuff is fine. I'm
I
not a
can't-
scientist
I
in that,
can't- well, I'm
so
not
give
either.
us some
He's a-
just general
Well, he's a
stuff.
freak when it comes to
Yeah.
the shell, right?
Yeah,
Here's one thing I want to promise people. Boss and that shell will never get worse. It'll only get better. Because that's the only way Brandon goes,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like you brought up crimp. I mean, I never knew this. Like the depth of the crimp and the type of crimp,
It makes sense.
it creates back pressure,
Yep.
right?
And you guys
And
do
you
a
knew-
6 crimp, right? A 6 full crimp,
Yep, but he talks about, he's always tinkering with things, right?
Sure.
He's always making
which
things.
is good.
Best primer, this would be an interesting thing for people. I mean, if you ever like wondered what you're shooting, take a knife and cut one apart one time.
I'm done it.
Cut them apart and look at them.
No.
You cut apart a Boss shot shell, you're gonna see the way an old lead shell was made back in the 60s,
Mhm.
70s. You're gonna see the best, right? Powders, wads, shot, the consistency of the shot, the plating of the shot, the brass, the best prime, all of it, right? Everything matters.
Yeah. So what I wanted to like bring out of that for some of our listeners that run like either inertia or gas-driven autoloaders, your shot shell will not affect them in cold weather. Where some low brass shells will affect a gas-operated weapon system in bad weather.
If a shell's gonna fail, it's typically gonna fail in cold, especially sub-temperatures.
Well, you might get a light primer strike, right?
You get
But
all
that
kind-
may be weapon
powder-
system, not the
powder
shell.
that doesn't completely burn.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things that happen that
Yeah.
affect the dynamic of the shell.
Yeah.
Brandon made the shell for cold weather first.
Right.
So when he publishes 1350 on that box,
That's what it is.
in a day like today, right now, what is it? Summer, it's like 70 something right now.
Yep.
You go out and test it right now, it's probably pushing 1400. It's
So-
1350 in what we consider an average temperature that you're gonna kill ducks in.
So
30
you
to
give
40
people worst case scenario.
Yep.
But they're
And then-
pressure tested and velocity tested
And
from,
then-
from a freezer.
And then froze.
Okay.
And then
froze, yeah.
frozen done.
Yeah.
Okay? When they buy a case of shells, you're gonna get a money bag and a couple of flat boxes, and you're gonna get a piece of paper that has all of this data printed out on it, and he signs it
Okay.
from that lot that comes, because he wants you to see.
You're getting the mad scientist signature on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he wants you to see, I think that's the coolest thing about Boss, is as a group, we are transparent.
Yeah.
We want you to know why.
Yeah.
If we could help educate, that's what I was gonna say. I think if you lay the information out there for them, like they've never heard it before, they'll go, like, we'll get into the unleaded thing here later on. But if you lay it out there for them, they're gonna, well, yeah,
It makes
that makes
sense.
sense. Why are we doing that?
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not trying to say that most duck hunters don't know.
No.
They're. I'm not saying they're dumb. I'm just
Three-
saying they haven't had the information in front of them.
3 decades of 3-inch tubes BB at the big box store has completely clouded.
Right.
Okay, here's another one. This one always bugged me. So you know what those what are they, like inflation calculators?
Yeah.
Go back to that copper plated Winchester I was telling you about, right?
Yep.
Okay. That was lead back in the day.
Sure.
If you add the inflation calculator to it, what did it come out at? I told you that. It's about 30-40 cents a squeeze more than our boss is
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
$1.55.
So back in 91, when they came out with the steel thing, instead of making the shell better, they went completely the other way. Oh, no, wait, and oh, by the way, that gun you used to shoot, well, you can't use that gun anymore.
Right.
You gotta have a new gun now.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, their short barrels are the deal now, and
Oh yeah,
all these different
24s,
chokes.
26s, and mobile
That's all.
chokes kind
Was
of.
not-
They created a new market, guys. We're gonna take a break, and then I want you guys to talk about big box stores and what the detriment has been on not only hunting, but just education. And once we get back, we'll talk about lead environment, how that creates a bad breeding ground for ducks, pheasants, grouse, and why you guys are better than everybody else on that, and why everybody should be running Boss instead of their normal big box store.
Absolutely, and then we're also going to come back, and I want to get some of the questions from the audience. Some of them want to know how it started. You know, how'd you guys get? You know,
Yeah,
the whole
we'd
9
love
yards.
that.
We'll back up. I had to, I don't know if it's hot enough. You can choke an effing donkey,
hot.
but you need a
It's
coffee.
hot
What
and
are you-
black.
What, when you're bored, do you eat COVID too? I mean, what the hell? Golly.
I'm a
So-
60-year-old Norwegian. I mean, this is
God
this
bless
is
it.
plasma right here.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a halftime. We're going to play a couple songs, and we'll be back with Boss Shot Show when we get back on the grind field, from field to freezer.
I'm probably not a typical Texan in that I don't hunt. I
So when we
fish,
get
but
back,
I don't hunt. And not because I think
you
it
wanna
might
kinda
somehow be more holy
talk
to
about
eat meat
this?
that's been
I'll
bludgeoned
lead
to
you
death by
into it.
somebody else. That's not it.
Then
It's really early in the
I
morning.
really
It's
want
really
you to
cold
get
outside.
into the
I don't want to go.
origination.
Get him going on a perspective.
My cousin Ray, on the other hand,
I
thinks
will.
killing a deer with a deer rifle
they're
is
different
magic
than I
in the
am.
forest.
No, I get it.
I'd like to do
And
for
a
you
lot
now
of the
my
guys that
impression
we
of my
listen
cousin
to
Ray
have been shooting
after the big kill.
the
And it was
federal
4 in the
steel
morning.
for
You wouldn't know.
You don't know any
22
different.
degrees
Their
outside.
baseline is that.
Of course,
so
you
they don't
weren't
know.
there.
We try to get people to shoot 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And they're like, no.
Gotta have
I'm in a camouflage deer blind with grease paint on my face. I've got deer urine on my boots. I'm not sure why.
Very conditioned.
I made that part up.
So, and like, your guys' 3.5 is only
I got a 30-06 with a 12-power scope and a bullet that'll travel 2,200 feet per second.
Yeah.
When that deer looked
What?
up to lick the salt
Hey,
sucker
can you
I
talk?
hung from the dying old tree, caught him right
I can hear
above
you.
the
You're on
eye.
speaker.
Yeah, well, I hit
First
one
of all,
with a
the camera
van.
is really
Going 55 miles an hour with the headlights on and the horn blowing. Woo, that's an elusive little creature. If you ever miss one, it's because the bullet's moving too fast. Slow the bullet down to 55 miles an hour, put some headlights and a little horn on it. The deer will actually jump in front of the bullet.
got you. I know. But then she also wants us to talk about what we did yesterday. Okay. Is that okay? Is that fair? No. And then we can talk about whatever we want to play. As long as I check those boxes for the weekend. So I want to talk about you, your hitting, how you aim, how you got connected with these guys, how it changed your perspective on all like hunting, shot shells. And I guarantee you, like I said, these guys yesterday, most motherfuckers grab their 870 out of the it's like, yep, bring it, 1200 rounds or 1200 bring that in, whatever. Deal shot, right? Yeah.
That curve is like,
An elk hunter, a ram hunter, a goat hunter would be like, this is fucking bullshit. Throw it in the garbage. Yeah. Nozzler, orange, yeah. Right. But that's what you said earlier. Most people don't take that into duck hunting or bird hunting because they're so afraid. That's right.
you get one in the corner, and then the important someone's gonna go off. Go ahead and shoot in the spot that you can recover.
No, but if your leg limit is 5 ducks, 6 ducks, why would you want to get the first 6 and be done? Right?
Get out.
If you want to go shoot a box of shells, go to the range. This episode is more about, and I would never like to reach to our listeners, but I really feel like this is important. It is. So we'll get a little preachy on it. I've never told our listeners what to wear, what to do, where to go. I've always, but I've shot your shells from the river. Let's get them. Why would thinking? I love black.
That's the best black liquor ever.
It is. My wife has. You got a radio hose in there? Or 2 3/4? 5. Coming out at 22 So Janet called. She wants us to talk about something. I got the guys down. I don't know why my phone's not staying on. On Instagram?
Yeah.
I know. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know why it's not staying. Let me try something.
Brother Show on the Mixed Radio Network. That's Sirens.
Nice.
Hey, we are back, and let's just get to some housekeeping real quick, shall we, Seth?
Yeah.
You know what? 8.5 million listeners is what we're tracking still this year. Big reason is obviously The Grind with Seth. It's a show that has been widely accepted and shared all over social media and on our mobile apps. So the other show, Tuesday night, we have our juggernaut, I guess. This is getting to that status, The Grind is, but our juggernaut is Queen in the Cop. Tracy Fisher-Filippi, she is Miss U.S. World Elite. She joins the show from 7 to 9 on Tuesdays with a cop, and usually it's detective with the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, Stacy Braun. But right now, Stacy is in Arizona because, you know, he makes too much damn money. So, he is going to be back, though, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. We have formidable sit-ins, though. We have Undersheriff in Ramsey County, Mike Martin, will be back in. He is one of the foremost gang experts in the state of Minnesota and he around the country. And we also have from the MPPOA, which is the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association, Executive Director Brian Peters will be in as well. So, you know those boys. You hang in the same sandlot and, you know, play.
Yeah, the gang thing is kind of, our group did a big federal indictment a few years ago. We got a bunch of what's called Trey Crips out of North Minneapolis. So I'm pretty proud of that. But I know those guys, they do good work, and I wish all our fellow brothers in blue the best, and I hope them a good show, and be safe out there, everybody who is not only on the job, but hunting and fishing. Safety is always number one. And going back to safety and how we kind of got involved in knowing each other, I want to give Lee an opportunity to kind of talk about the origins of Boss Shot Shells.
Boy. Brandon Sarecki he's really the guy that started. He made the shell, and I'll try to keep this kind of short because how it starts could get kind of long. But
no, it's okay. On your guys' website, you have a really good bio. But I want to hear from you.
You can read some of that stuff on the website, but the bottom line is he created this killer shell, and he was at some outfitters around the country and in Canada, and the guys were shooting the shell, and they were like, Jesus,
This cat's meow.
This shell's crazy. What is it?
No.
And he's like, yeah, I don't know, whatever, no big deal. You know, he's not thinking much of it, you know. And the next year he goes back to this place, and the guides ask him, hey, did you bring any of those shells, right? And he goes, yeah. And then he would always leave them with there. He'd always leave him the shells. And anyway, things happen, you know, people say things, and they're like, hey, you should really think about making these. So he started to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
He really had no idea how to get them to market, bring them to market, right? So he started to ask a few questions, and eventually came to Zach here, and Zach said, well, and if it were my money, I'd call Joe's. Right?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think a guide would be asking you to bring them up some Federal or Winchester 2s, 3s?
No.
If it didn't matter?
No.
That's their livelihood. And if you're killing animals, and I'm not saying this in a sadistic, barbaric way, you want your clients to be efficient and effective.
It's good for everybody.
That's right. And not only for everybody, not only the business, it's good for the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to push that.
And that shell, they were shooting white geese, and they were shooting 2 3/4 inch 5s and mashing, right?
Yep.
And they're like, you got to be kidding me. Well, I showed you that yesterday.
That 2 3/4 number 5, for all the listeners, that motherfucker barks.
Well, when he threw them the shells, they're like, what are these little things?
Yeah, I know.
Well, I put them in my hand,
And then they shoot, and they're like, nah, dude, we're in.
Yep, it was.
Right.
But you got. Remember, I
It
told
was
you
a game changer. So back to how you got started.
So Brandon called me, and we sat on the phone a little bit, and he had a guy that. Okay, so Brandon he's a generational metal plater. Owns a really nice business in Michigan. Very, very classic blue collar Michigan dude, right? Blue
I think
jeans,
everybody loves them already.
blue jeans, boots,
Yep.
a baseball style hat, and a t-shirt. I mean, that's him.
He's a
right?
worker.
He's
Let's
a
send
worker.
him a pair of
He's a
Red
worker.
Wing
He's a
boots.
worker.
Oh,
Yep.
he's a worker. You can't
Yep.
outwork him. You can't do it. We can't outwork him. And he's not only a worker, he's a really good worker.
Sure.
His product, his quality, his ideology, it's all like we would call it like America's finest, like maybe the way things used to be, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
More
I get
so,
it.
more so.
I get it.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it, even though I knew I'd love it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure, and he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Well, because it's going to eat me up."
Sure. It's
Right?
going to take your time.
I mean, it's going to eat me alive,
Mhm.
right? But I know I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's like, "Where where are you gonna be Tuesday? And I travel a lot, right? Half
Yep.
the time I'm gone on location.
Sure.
Photography, right?
Yep.
I said, well, I'll be home at the farm with my wife Bonnie, and he's like, where's the nearest airport? And I said, MSP. And he's like, no, not that kind of airport. And I'm like, well, what kind of airport? He goes, well, I need a runway, I need a strip. And I'm like, oh, there's one in Faribault. He goes, how far is that? I said, it's like
down
20,
by Dundas,
it's like
right?
20
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
20
yeah.
minutes from the farm.
Yeah.
He goes, pick me up at 8 o'clock Tuesday morning. No shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
no more chit chat, nothing. Pick me up at 8
Yeah.
o'clock. I drove down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I see him fly in, and I'm waiting in my truck, and opens the gate, comes out, walks in, got a big smile on his face, gets in the truck. I shit you not. It's like I'd known the guy since high school.
Sure.
And that really is how it started. Then he came back to the farm, and we started to talk, and we talked about retail, we talked about the competition, we talked about direct to consumer, which we were all over at that time.
Mhm.
In fact, it was the only way we'd do it. And
That's one of your mantras, direct to consumer, and I want to give it over here real quick. Thanks for giving us a little bit of the insight. You want to
well,
finish?
I want to tell you one other
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
This,
do it.
this is the part that's like important, because for anybody to do anything extraordinary, you need great people around you.
What
Right?
about a leap of faith?
And if you're
Were you-
married,
were you scared a
and
little
if
bit?
you're married, no,
No?
no fear.
Good.
And if you are married, you certainly need a great wife.
Yeah.
So Brandon wanted to talk, not just to me, but Brandon wanted to talk to my wife, right?
Well,
And
that's
he
good
told
policy.
her, he told her, if we do this, I'm never gonna let you down, right?
That's
Okay,
good.
well, we had a day, I drove Brandon back to the airport, he got on his plane and he left. This was gonna be a job for me. Do you wanna get paid, like you normally get paid?
Right.
Or do you want skin in the deal, right?
Sure.
I asked Bonnie, I said, what do you think? And I thought for sure she was gonna say, take the money,
Take the
right?
money,
I
right?
thought for sure she would, right? And she looked at me and she goes, not this time.
So you're in for the penny, and you're in for the pound.
So, right?
Yeah.
What we're into right now, we all agree, and we want to grow the brand, and we want narratives. That's what we.
Do you feel like growing the brand will change the narrative, or do you feel like you have to change the narrative to grow the brand?
No, I think
Our
brand
brand,
is.
our brand will change the narrative.
I
I
think
agree with
brand
you
is. I think
100%.
brand is king,
Yeah.
and if we take care of the brand, and we maintain being an open book with the customers, where they know, not think, where they know we are them, we're just like them, and we maintain that, I think we'll win it.
So I can further that statement with, I've sat around a lot of, bar tops with people drinking whiskey and having a good time and talking about shot shells, whatever, hunting, fishing, doesn't matter. You could talk to me blue in the face about something, but until I witnessed what I did yesterday with the quality of your guys' product, I feel like I agree with Zach where the brand is going to change the narrative, because I'm an academic. I have a PhD in criminology. I'm not scared of numbers or information, but I'm also a hunter, and I'm old school in that sense, where I have sometimes takes me to bridge that gap is in person evidence. I'm also a cop,
See it in the
so
flesh.
I need tangible evidence.
That's why
you know?
we want them to see it.
Yeah, and I think that your guys' brand is going to push the narrative. And if we can punch it over to Zach, and can you talk about why you guys really aren't in big box stores and why you guys have such a really good reputation with clients, repeat clients, and how you're kind of organically grassrooting and building this company, which, in my opinion, should get picked up by somebody. But the problem is it would price out a lot of people. Is that why you guys don't go big box? I want you to expand on that.
So I guess that strategy goes all the way back to day one, of hey, let's do this thing direct to consumer.
Yeah.
And the easiest thing You know, this whole brand is built on science and math. It's numbers. It's a simple math problem.
Mm-hmm.
So by not being in retail or direct to consumer, by being direct, not big box, we're keeping that margin out. Otherwise, you're gonna have to mark that thing up. Who knows what percentage, because everyone's gonna operate at a different percentage. So they're gonna mark that up 20, 30, 40 points. Well, now all of a sudden our shell goes from 248 case up to whatever you want it to go.
Well, you guys
300,
don't have to pay like a pro staff. You guys don't market anything else. So your guys' you keep all that money to the consumer.
Yeah, we wanted. I mean, the whole bid is like genuine.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
like to go back to your question about brand and narrative, like that's who we are.
Right.
There's no front. This isn't like, oh yeah, this is what we do, and yeah, we whatever.
You can call us.
Yeah.
Well, and so that really comes across on your guys' webpage. So if anybody wants to go, we linked it on our Facebook and Instagram page. I really encourage anybody to go to Boss Shot Shell's homepage and read the frequently asked questions. You'll get a lot of information without having to actually run their shot shells through your gun. But what I gleaned through going through you guys' webpage and also talking to you and spending time with you guys is, dude, you guys are salt of the earth people that just want a better product. And you don't want to have to overcharge people for a round that they don't need and is going to be bad for the environment.
And just so everybody knows, that is Bosch Shot Shells, plural, with an S on the end, .com.
Correct.
I want to go to Shot Shell. I don't know if you guys have that one, but BoschShotShells.com.
Yep.
That's correct.
And I want to put it out there too to our pheasant hunters, grouse hunters, turkey hunters, crane hunters, wherever you're at. They're non-toxic. So I encourage all of our upland game hunters to run Bosch shot shells instead of switching back over to like a Winchester X round or a Fiocchi White Rhino or whatever running lead. Please run your copper plated rounds, and if you want to get a better kill, honestly, try these rounds out. Run them through your weapon system, change your chokes, clean your gun, and you will find a better product out there, and you'll have a more successful hunt. Because in my opinion, there's nothing better than trying to chase down a crippled duck. Man, that's fucking annoying. Get the blind
and
in.
you waste 10 minutes.
That's right.
And it's
10.
every single time there's a group behind them. So
Yeah.
you got your buddy out there, a dog, or whatever's
Right.
happening out there.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, par for the course. Here's another group. We could have killed
Right.
them. They bossed. They're gone.
And how many rounds do you think you waste chasing that cripple?
I saw one last year. Guy I was hunting with shot 10 times at one cripple
That is not abnormal.
Cripple what?
duck.
Okay,
mallard.
that was a greenhead?
Yeah, last day of the season.
Okay.
Here.
What
So
do you-
again, 15-degree temperature day.
Right.
So
Right.
you go through the pressure system, you go through
Okay,
the
well, let's-
powder, and it's just
Let's think about this. This is like you brought this up. You said this is a math problem, okay? It
Yep.
is. This is a math problem. We're
Yep.
gonna solve. We're
Yep.
gonna solve it right here. For all you dudes out there and chicks that hunt ducks, especially on water, and especially the people out there that shoot a diving duck, okay? Let's say you cripple a can, a bluebill, or a redhead. Okay, we all know what happens when you knock one down on the water. You can see maybe a 1/4 inch of their back, and really about all you have is their head. And if you think about, look at your hand and look at the size of what a duck's head would look like in your hand. Now go to a patterning board and take a 3-inch steel number 2 or BB and shoot it at 40 yards. And you're gonna see why you shoot 10 shells. Here's what happens. When people say, yeah, and I get this, because we are very conscious with the consumers about your money. We don't want to waste your money. But when somebody's argument is, it's too expensive, and I'm like, well, what are you shooting now? And they tell me what it is. And I'm like, the only time that box you just bought's cheaper is the day you picked it off the shelf. From that point on, it becomes more expensive. You're gonna retrieve more birds per shell shot with a copper-plated Bosch shell than any steel. all day, every day. That's math, right? When you brought up, you were talking about your pattern yesterday and how
Yep.
cool the pattern.
It was
The
awesome.
thing you're not factoring in is the density, the weight
Carries.
Right.
that shot carried compared to that, Steve. So now
At
you
40
add
yards.
that into it. Now add that into it,
Yep.
right?
Yep, absolutely. And one thing I want to point out to a lot of our listeners out there that have dogs, I know that one of the best and greatest joys as a dog owner is getting your dog their treat, which is a dead animal. Letting that dog, if you got a pointer, whatever, you got a great point, the dog did its job, you've prepped your whole season for this, the bird gets up, and guess what? You not only have a cripple or you missed. That is heartbreaking if you have a dog, because I've missed more birds because I'm watching my dog and the bird gets up and I'm like, oh shit, because I'm just having joy watching my dog. But what you need to do is get your dog that treat, that present, that hard work. So if you are an upland game hunter, grouse, pheasant, woodcock, whatever you're doing, do yourself a favor, grab some Boss shot shells, and is going to love you for it.
Okay.
I'm telling you this right now.
All right, I'm gonna. There's one thing better than copper-plated Boss as a conservation tool, and that's a well-trained dog,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
The two of them together, we can reduce the number drastically. Drastically reduce crippling.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of guys will go to like a Pheasants Forever banquet. They'll go to a Waterfowl Association banquet, a Ducks Unlimited, and they'll drop $300 on raffle tickets just to see one guy win 5 guns, right? They all seem rigged. But
Yeah,
why?
table 7's hot.
Yeah, table 7 has like 12 guns. It's like, who was given a hand job under the table before I showed up? Anyway, my point is, why don't you spend a couple extra bucks to do your due diligence in the field? Not only for you, for the animal, for your dog. And honestly, for your field and freezer and for your table. You know, I mean, you're going to have more cleanly killed ducks, pheasants, in your freezer than you know what to do with. You're going to have time to spend with your buddies. You're going to spend less time chasing animals down. You're going to spend more time picking up dead animals.
It's a better experience.
That's right.
Full circle.
It's a better.
Everybody likes to kill ducks. Everybody likes
Love
to
it.
kill pheasants. Everybody likes to eat them.
Yep.
Why not be more efficient at it? So
Well,
spend a couple extra bucks and get it done. Now, you guys are not available in any big box store. You can't just go and pick up a box.
Only available online at Boss Shot Shells.
Yep. And you guys, the quickest you can get delivered is what, 2 days?
Couple days.
2 days.
Couple of
You
days,
can't
quickest.
ship overnight.
That's
Yeah,
illegal,
by law.
unfortunately.
That's
Yep,
a law.
I understand that. The ATF has their fingers in that. I understand.
California, we have to ship to FFL.
Sure.
California.
And then you go pick up.
then
Just like if you're
Illinois,
buying a
they
gun.
need the card.
Void card.
And then what is Vermont?
Is it Vermont or Connecticut?
There's another.
There's some goofy East Coast stuff out there too.
Sure.
Well, boss, you know what, you guys follow all the federal rules and regulations.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's
yeah.
just, you know, put your order in. You know what,
You'll
these
get
people
it.
probably know what they're gonna have to
You'll
go
get
through
it.
to get it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, you're
Well,
good.
let me ask you guys: are you do you have a lag? Because we're coming up. We're about a month out from early September goose season.
No, we're ready.
So if you're ready, I encourage any listener right now that wants to go early September goose season. If you want to shoot some honkers, do yourself a favor and pick up just a single box of their 2 3/4 number 5, because it's early goose. They don't have full down. You'll be able to knock them down out of the sky. Pick yourself up a single box of the 2 3/4 number 5s and run them through your gun and see what happens. And you'll have plenty of time if you order them now to get ahead of the goose season, and you will kill more geese. And I saw you guys had a goose pastrami. You like goose pastrami? You want to talk a little bit about that? First, talk about
Well,
the
that's-
ordering, and then the pastrami.
Talk about what first?
The ordering, like if guys want to get in now.
Well, I'd like
do you guys have minimums and all
I'd
that?
like, no, there's no minimums. I'd like to clarify one thing though. I mean, did you see the post a couple days ago where somebody asked about what shell would you recommend from everything from teal to big honkers?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I wish if I could land somewhere in the middle where I know I could kill both of them at a reasonable distance, okay, now let's talk about reasonable distance, right?
Yeah,
I'd shoot the 5.
sure.
Either 2 3/4 inch or a 3-inch 5. If you're happier with more pellets, go ahead, shoot the 3-inch.
But that's the only difference between.
don't
two
have
But
and
that's the only,
three.
but I want the listeners to understand that I shot that 3.5-inch tee at 40 yards, and there was probably 7 pellets in the kill zone,
You right.
where I shot that 2 3/4 5, and I had 119.
You remember what I told you?
Bigger isn't
yesterday?
better.
Ignore shell length.
Yeah.
The only thing that matters is payload and velocity.
That's
and,
right.
and actually, Brandon and I were talking about this. Velocity doesn't even matter.
Sure.
Payload matters,
Yep. Knocked down.
right? And now
Trauma.
the dynamic of the shell and how it performs,
Yep.
that's huge.
Well, that's why we
Right.
switched from a 40
But-
millimeter to a 9 millimeter, because the 9 millimeter rounds now have better
Plus
trauma
B.
power. The plus B plus
Okay.
rounds. That's what it is. It's velocity.
Yeah.
So I tell people, if you're going to shoot, if a lot of your gunning early in the season is going to be wood ducks and blue-winged teal, shoot 7s,
Sure.
right?
Mhm.
If you only want one load all year, you're going to be pretty safe for the 5. If your bag is big honkers all year, and you're going to be hunting them late, like late season field bullies in the snow,
Then go
I
down
might
a little
even,
bit.
oh,
maybe
you
like a
can,
3 or a
shoot
2.
3-inch 4s,
Yeah.
3-inch 4s, 3s, even 3-inch 2s. But if there was an all-around shell, like, and I do say this all the time, I actually think, I know it's a little early to say this, but I actually think that 2 3/4 inch 5 is going to become an iconic shell. I think it's going to become the industry standard for killing a duck.
I can tell you that I'm sold on it. I haven't hunted over a blind on it yet. And I know a lot of our listeners hunt over water, which is, I put a post up a couple of days ago about trying to get guys to not hunt over water, because you can shoot ducks out of the field all day long, but once you shoot them off their roost, they're gone. So I'm trying to get Minnesota hunters to get away from water, hunting over water, but I know it's kind of, like we talked about, it's the generational thing. That's what you did. You shot the federal steel because that's what it was. I hunted over water because that's what my uncle and my grandpa did, right? I'm trying to get away from hunting over water. And I'm telling you, if you're a duck hunter that hunts over water and you don't want to waste time chasing cripples, you don't want to waste time chasing ducks around, get Boss Shot Shell number 5. I shot it yesterday. I've never promoted a thing on this show that I haven't used or tested. And I'm telling you guys, number 5 is going to be it's your golden dagger for almost everything. Now, for the serious guys that do like Giants, go up to Saskatchewan, or like Devil's Lake late season around like October, November, you might want to shift to something different. But at Boss, they will have a conversation with you, and I'm telling you this, Lee will pick up the phone and have a conversation with you. He's going to ask you some tough questions. What are you shooting? What are your chokes? And be prepared to answer those questions. And I don't think that most duck hunters know that. They don't.
I think, like we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, if you lay it out there for them, they'll be like, well, yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. Why haven't I heard it? Well, it's because nobody talks about it anymore.
Because we've been shooting federal Winchester steel off the rack at Gander Mountain Cabela's for 30 years.
I give major credit to the archery culture, because part of their culture is shooting a half a dozen good arrows a day,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I don't have to shoot a ton of them, but let's shoot a half a dozen good ones. Let's work on your mechanics and all that. And then, they pay attention to their bow and their string and their sights and their pins and everything adds up to a group the size of a quarter at 35 or 40 yards, whatever they're into. I mean, I even know guys that are like stupid good at 100. My point is, as a culture, and a community, they changed that,
Yeah.
right?
They talk about
We
it
need
daily.
that. We
Yeah.
need that.
And they shoot daily.
Yeah.
A lot of them
We
shoot
need that
daily.
in the waterfall world, in the
We do.
upland world. We need that.
Yep. Yep.
And I think the youth will be the ones that move the needle the farthest, once
agree
they
with
get
you.
their head wrapped around it.
Yep. Educating the youth will further conservation through quality field management.
The old guys my age love Boss, because, and we hear it all the time, they're like, holy shit, man, this is like shooting lead again.
Yeah.
Like, you've heard me tell that story about Snowstorm.
Yeah.
It's his handle on IG. He sends us a really cool message, direct message does.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, my grandpa and dad quit duck hunting in '91 when they banned lead and went to steel. They haven't picked up a gun since. Boss 2 3/4 inch 5s got his grandpa and dad back in the game, and they went on the opening of duck
That's
season last year.
That's
Full limits. The old man had a Model 12 and grandpa had a squareback.
nice.
Right?
I love
Three
it.
And the kid
generations.
in Snowstorm's probably shooting something like a Benelli or whatever, but
Right,
there they
right,
are.
right.
There's 3 generations, and he says that shell got those 2 guys back in the game.
So if all it takes is a couple extra bucks for a box of shells, and if
Zach,
you have
what
a
is it?
dad or an uncle
You know the
or a
numbers
grandpa
pretty
out
good.
there,
$120.
just $120, just grab a couple of boxes of Boss and bring your old man out there if he hasn't been in the blind for a while, and just, let him send it a little bit. But I'll let you guys know these things bark a little bit, so be prepared, but be also prepared to kill animals.
And I will go back to the ordering process. So it happens daily, literally daily. People will order, they'll get their shell, they do what we talk about. They run out, they go pattern it, put it on paper. The first thing they do is they'll take a picture with their phone, send us a message, like, hey, here's my pattern, what do you think?
Yeah.
And then you just go right down the battery list of questions.
There we
How
go.
far?
What are, yeah,
And
no,
you start tweaking
talk
it,
about those
you
assholes.
tweak it, you tweak
Will,
and adjust
will you
it.
go through those questions? What
Yeah,
are
so
they?
it's hey, what's your choke? What's your distance? What gun is it? Do this, look at that, and they're like, yeah, this is my pattern. Is it get, and they're all excited. They're like, it's good, right?
Sure.
It's like, yeah, it's fine.
But
we
most
can
people
type-
aren't scientific about it because they didn't say, hey, I was running a 12 gauge Benelli with an improved modified. I was at 35 yards. This was the temperature. This was the humidity. And this is what happened. You get a photo like, is this good? So that furthers my point where most guys just go into their gun safe, grab the gun, throw it in the boat.
Yeah.
They go out hunting and they're, why aren't I killing animals? So
Yeah, so
let's
then
get scientific.
Yep, and you go through it again and again and again, and then you finally get to this point where they're confident with it. They have this picture painted in their head where they know what that pattern is going to look like when they're actually hunting.
Yeah.
Because they saw it right here,
Sure.
in person, in the flesh. So then, all it does as a hunter, it gives them confidence.
Confidence booster, right?
But then for us,
Yeah.
like, we're able to engage with them
Mm-hmm.
and answer their questions. So then, ironically, like, it's not coincidence on our FAQs on our website. It's
Yeah.
like, what were the last top 2,000 questions we got, and let's power rank them from
Right.
most general or broad and come all the way down at the end. It's getting a little bit more specific. Answer those, so hopefully there's a spot for them to read those answers.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people still might feel intimidated about reaching out.
Oh, absolutely,
Oh,
because
sure.
most people don't want to admit that it could be a failure on their part for cleaning their gun, having the right choke, understanding their environment, and also their normal shot placement. Where some guys are comfortable shooting at a duck at 20, some guys are uncomfortable at 30. Most guys would say, I'm not shooting at a duck at 40 yards. So this goes back to what we were originally talking about, where Boss is going to change the narrative. The narrative is going to be changed through your product.
We're gonna lay it out there, and we're gonna need a lot of help from you guys to change it.
Yeah, and I think just having conversations is good, but also hard conversations. Like, hey, sorry, if you don't know what choke you have in your gun right now, that's a problem.
And what
That's
they,
a problem.
What they do, you gotta put it on paper.
You have to.
You have to.
Yeah,
Rifle hunters do it, archery hunters do it,
Right.
pistol guys do it.
duck hunters are the worst at it.
It's like, we can be way better.
Yeah,
So, like, this is an opportunity to improve.
Yep.
Like, step up your own game. So just do it.
yeah.
Take
And I think
ownership and accountability and
It-
make
it-
yourself better.
it does, and I think this is maybe going to sound negative, but I think the quality of the Boss shot shell is going to not force hunters to do that because your guys' shot shell is so good that they're not going to take the ownership of going into, oh, what is my choke? What am I realistically shooting at distance wise? Because your shot shell performs so well but it's almost going to take that scientific examination of themselves and their weapon system away from them.
Yeah.
So you guys are kind of running a double-edged sword here. A superior product.
Well, you know,
We need him to put it on paper.
Yeah.
hey, we're running up against clock, y'all.
All right,
It
sounds
was
good.
that quick. That's
Can we
how
come
it-
back?
You know what? You absolutely can.
We'll come back.
Let's do this again.
Superior grade, American made, and copper plated Boss Shot Shells. That's BossShotShells.com.
It'll be on our Facebook and Instagram page.
If you got any other questions, obviously you know how to get a hold of us. We'll circle back around and do it again 2 Sundays from now. You're going to go live next Sunday, I think, for a little while.
I'm going to go live
You know-
next Sunday, and then 2 Sundays from now, I have a couple of pro walleye fishermen coming in to talk about fall walleye tactics. And then we're also going to talk about special archery hunts, and we're going to talk about muskie hunting, which is coming up. A lot of guys like to hunt muskies when they don't hunt ducks. So we're going to be doing a big smorgasbord in 2 Sundays from studio.
Look at that. Now, you know what? I just realized during this whole, while we were talking about Bonnie being asked if he could go do this, I forgot to ask Amy if you could do this. So can you jump on that grenade for me if there's ever one?
Yeah, I usually ask for permission later.
It's
And
better to ask for-
forgiveness at the same time.
Yeah. It's
So,
a two-way deal.
yeah, I play absent-minded professor when it comes to my wife.
I love 2-for-1s. Hey, you guys, thank you very much for being in studio. BossShotShells.com. That website again is BossShotShells.com. American made, superior grade, copper plated. BossShotShells.com. We'll circle back around and do it again in 2 Sundays. Say goodbye.
See ya.
Thank
Thanks
you
for the
very
help.
much.
Yeah, good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah,
Super fun.
yeah, absolutely.
I pledge allegiance to
I'm
the
having
flag
Troy
of the
Ron,
United States
and Billy's gonna
of
call in,
America.
and then Corey Springle's gonna call in too.